last thing you want to do at a business luncheon or a dinner is worry about which wine to order. But how do you go about navigating the often intimidating wine menu and impress your clients without breaking the bank? BNET blogger and wine enthusiast Michael Mattis stumbles into one of San Francisco's leading restaurants, Jardiniere, to get the oaky, corky, buttery lowdown from sommelier Eugenio Jardim.
Wow, this is a big, impressive-looking wine list. How does the average business person navigate through this?
Well, first of all, you have to kind of just figure it out. What do your guests like to drink? A little bit beyond of white and red. Do they go for nuances in a wine? Do they like elegant wines? Or do they go for the big, bold, robust reds, for example? When they say they want to drink white wine, do they want something crispy and light and refreshing, or do they like the big, buttery, juicy Chardonnays, for example?
Okay, but what are some safe bets, say?
Safe bets. You can probably be very sure that if you start with bubbly, with champagne, sparkling wines in general, you're off to a good start. You're going to start the evening on a festive note. So, start with champagne, sparkling wine, move on to Sauvignon Blanc, or perhaps a lighter style white wine, rather than going straight to the heavier Chardonnays or Cabernets. And if you're doing reds, apply the same principle. Have a little bit of the Pinot Noir to just open things up, and then move on to the more serious and heavier reds at the end.
Fact or fiction? Red wine only goes with meat and white wine only goes with fish or poultry?
Fiction. The most important thing is not the protein, but the condiments. A lot of times, the pairing is dictated by the sauce, not by the protein itself. Pair a wine with similar characteristics.
Okay, so let's say we start with oysters.
I am so glad you brought that up. You have no idea how many times I see a business dinner that starts with oysters and Cabernet Sauvignon.
Doesn't work?
Bad pairing, because that happens when people make a decision on a wine before they decide what they are eating. Oysters are usually very well paired with very dry, crisp white wines, high in acidity and maybe very high in minerality as well. Never anything heavy, anything juicy, anything red, for example.
But some seafoods say Maine diver scallops.
Oh yeah, the Maine diver scallops is one of the signature dishes at Jardiniere, and it's served with pomme puree and Perigord truffles. So you would think, okay, seafood, it's lighter, it's a scallop, and that should definitely go with white wine. Well, wrong. That pairs beautifully with red Burgundy because of the truffles, the intensity of the truffles, and the richness of the dish.
So what about a lamb or pasta dish?
Well, those can vary depending on what kind of sauce you have with the pasta. Pastas can go either way. If it is a cream sauce, you want a white wine. If it is a braised short ribs mixed in it or a tomato sauce, you want to go red. Lighter wines with lighter dishes, heavier wine with heavier dishes. Apply the same principles that you did to the main courses and appetizers to the desserts. Chocolate, it would weight as a heavier, richer dessert. So pick something that is rich and heavy. Most people would go for a vintage port. Depending if it is dark, bitter chocolate, I would go for vintage port. If it is milk chocolate, I would go for a Tawny port, which are lighter.
Fact or fiction? Is the most expensive wine always the best choice?
Not always. I see it all the time. People order very expensive wines when it's really not needed. If you just think a little bit outside the box and you look at regions in the world that are very up and coming and they have very exciting wines, and your sommelier can guide you through those regions and those wine varieties that you may not be familiar with, you end up with a delicious wine that costs a fraction of the price. Every wine list should have good wines in every price range. You can tackle that in a different way. You can come in a little early and show the sommelier the price range that you rather work with that evening. Or while looking at the wine list, you can say something like, I was wondering about this wine or that wine, and slightly run your finger through the list, pointing to the price range that you were referring to, the price range that you're comfortable with.
So the waiter brings you the wine, so then what happens?
Well, the first thing you have to do is to make sure that it is the wine that you actually ordered. You look at the label, look at the vintage, make sure it's the winemaker, the vineyard, the year that you've ordered. Second, and most important of all, it is you have to make sure that the wine is sound, that it smells and tastes clean and fresh.
It smells pretty fresh to me.
Cheers.
So, Eugenio, this has bine great. Any last words of wisdom for us?
Yes, on a business situation, take charge, take command, and engage the sommelier. Show him what you want to work with in terms of price point, in terms of style of wines, and let the night flow. Don't overthink it, don't stress over, don't make a big deal about it. Just let us know the parameter, and we're there to serve you. Remember, the sommelier is your friend.
Great. Well, I think we should finish these wines.
I think so too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
For more information, go to bnet.com.